The Weigh-In Podcast is back this Saturday. We are in San Antonio, Texas for Noche UFC. 14 fights slated again for us. We got Diego Lopes taking on John Silva in our main event, and Rob Font taking on David Martinez in the co-main event. As always, make sure to like and subscribe to the video. Much appreciated. Before we get things started, I'd like to recap last week, which was UFC Paris. Winning night for both of us here. Clean sweep for me here. Just one money line bet, Mason Jones, minus 135 to win a unit. A bit hairy early on, but rounds 2, 3, didn't get there, but round 2, exactly how I kind of started to see that fight going. 2 small parlays here. Fernandez to win, easy calf kick, round 1 finish. And then I took the C points, minus 3.5, because honestly, man, I wasn't necessarily sold on a finish. I told you coming off that first ever loss, I think he was really just wanting a win. And so I wasn't just counting out a bunch of top time there. So ultimately took the points handicapped, half unit plus 117. And then my biggest bet of the night to return 2 units was the over 2.5 in the main event, which my middleweight overs, man, should have been hitting goes the distance. That's just a system player almost for me at times. And then Benoit Saint-Denis versus Mauricio Rufy, regardless of how that either one, I saw that being a finish. So that returned 2 units, clean sweep, 3.58 units. Happy to keep my nice little year going for myself, honestly, man. A couple setbacks here and there, but been doing pretty good. Happy to keep it going.
Yeah, so another good night for me as well. Biggest play of the night was Rinat Fakhretdinov. He started off, honestly, I thought that we were in for a killer night. I had 2 units on him at plus 114, and he made that look super easy. Was able to capitalize on Hurton Gustafsson early. I was super impressed by that because I thought we were going to be squeezing out 2 rounds and then really puckering for that third. So I was happy to get it done early. Trey Waters against Sam Patterson. I had him as a dog at plus 162. Pretty frustrating that he doesn't keep his hands up. I knew what I was getting into playing him, but I thought the fight would play out a little bit closer than it did. Lost a unit there. Alex Sola, 1.5 units on him at minus 126. I thought everybody was making the weight, putting too much emphasis on the weight. Sola was the better MMA fighter, and he proved it there on Saturday. Mason Jones, Oki, 1.5 units at minus 135. You touched on it. I'm so happy to bet on fighters that will fight for my money, and that is Mason Jones through and through. So love having money on a dog like that. Mauricio Rufy versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I don't know. Bought into the hype just a little bit. I think that's how I can sum that up. I bought into the hype just a little bit. Had a 1.5 units on him there, and then Nasruddin Imavov versus Caio Borralho. Had it as a coin flip. It was a close fight. I do think that Nasruddin was the rightful winner. It wasn't just any home cooking or anything. So happy to be on the dog side there for a unit. And then Caio Fernandez, we talked about that being one of the better plays of the night, and it looked like it, man. He whooped the shit out of Harry Hardwick. But then I tried to find somebody to pair him up with. Thought Tavares would be able to really outmove Brycek, because I just was not impressed with the way that Brycek was flat-footed in most of his fights, but he ended up in the 3rd round finding a finish, which I thought was kind of crazy. And if round 1 was going to be tight, but to find it in the 3rd was surprising to me. Ended up tonight plus 2.23 units. Hard to be upset about it, but I really wish it could have been a big night like I thought it was going to be after the Rinat Fakhretdinov finish. We'll move on to the first fight of the night, where we have the Ultimate Fighter finale at 170 pounds between Rodrigo Cezinando taking on Danil Danchenko. This is a striker versus grappler matchup. I was a little bit surprised in the line. I know that, for Cezinando to win this fight, he's going to need to secure takedowns. And if he doesn't, then he's going to look like a fish out of water against this striker and Danchenko. But, Danchenko, relatively new to the MMA game. He's only been doing it for about 6 years. But, 2 years ago, he was losing to, 13-9 fighters. A couple years before that, he was losing to fighters who were making their professional debut. He looked great in the Ultimate Fighter, but I'm still kind of having to sit back before I believe in the hype from him, like maybe a couple of good performances. But at 24 years old, I still think that he probably has some improvements to work on. So this is a sit back and wait to see what happens. But if I was betting aside here, I'd bet the Cezinando. I like his experience. I like the grappling. In a low-level matchup, I always want to take a grappler over a striker. Yeah, give me Cezinando here. Not a lot of conviction, but he's a side for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Starting with an underdog to start off the card. It's a bit weird picking an underdog outright and not really being eager to bet him, But a couple red flags here. It was originally scheduled a couple weeks back, but it was Rodrigo, small injury that does get the fight pushed back there. Also, you touched on it. I do feel like his win conditioning pretty limited if he doesn't land takedowns and multiple takedowns here in this fight. His margins are kind of slim. And then not to mention the cardio dynamic. I do think round 3 goes to Donchenko quite a bit of times here. Donchenko is very reliable for the pace, the cardio, the volume, just getting in your face, throwing elbows. And I think I trust him more as this fight goes late. I do see this fight kind of going late as well. And so, just a couple things that are keeping me off the underdog, but you always know me as well. I like the grappling upside. Again, kind of the inexperience from Donchenko. I do think he's live to get taken down here. So if anybody pulls the trigger on Rodrigo, I hate that we've missed it by 30, 40 points at this point in time. But I do still think that the underdog's the value side here. Moving on up the card, Alice Pereira taking on Montserrat Rendon, women's bantamweight. Alice Pereira is 5-0. She looks dangerous. She's finished like all of her fights, but she's fought absolute cans, man. In this matchup here, clear striking advantage, clear athleticism advantage. She's the much younger fighter here as well. I don't know, man. It's like Montserrat Rendon might not really be UFC level. She's fought very, very bad girls as well, but she's a tough girl and she can grind. And if she were to go out here and land takedowns, I wouldn't be surprised. If she gets in her face and grinds her up against the cage, I really wouldn't be surprised. But I do think any time spent out at range, it's trouble for her, man. I think she's at a significant speed disadvantage, striking disadvantage. And so my gut tells me Alice Pereira is going to get this one done just because Rendon's not that active with the wrestling and not that dangerous when she does get on top. So I'm going to side with Alice Pereira, but you never catch me lay this type of chalk on a girl like herself. So, that's how I kind of feel about it.
Yeah, so Rendon, 17 years the elder of Alice Pereira. Most of the time, that's going to be an automatic bet Pereira. But Pereira only being 19, I think, is my biggest concern here. Even with that clean record, that she's got holes in her game. There's no way that she has everything covered at 19 years old. And lacking a lot of experience, at least Rendon has UFC caliber opponents to lean back on. I've seen her tough out against some really tough girls. The one that comes to mind is Tamirez Vidal. I think that's somebody who hits really hard, who's going to make her get gritty with the way that she came out with that win. And I feel like she could implement something here against Alice Pereira. And we've seen that in the line. I think a lot of people are feeling that way. We've got Rendon as a plus 115 now, and she was plus 170 like the whole week. So I think people are seeing that this is a really low caliber matchup. Maybe a fight to try and set up Alice Pereira, but who knows how she's actually going to pan out on the UFC stage. 19 years old, I'm sure the jitters are there for her. Even though a lot of people are confused about her relation to Alex Pereira or, her non-relation to Alex Pereira, there's a lot of eyes on her just simply because of her last name. And I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if she dropped the ball here. So I agree with the line movement, but another one I'm not trying to put my hard-earned money on, and I'm happy to sit back and just see what happens. Moving on to the down a weight class to the flyweight division, Alessandro Costa taking on Alden Correa. Costa should win this fight, but similar to Alex Sola last week, I saw some pretty decent looks from Alden Correa in his highlights. Like, he doesn't look bad. He's only 27 years old, and I feel like it's tough to gauge how good he is given the opponents that he's been facing. But I haven't seen any like glaring holes in his game that make me want to fade him. So this being like the biggest step up in his competition so far, I hate that I keep having to say this, but this is a sit back and watch how he does fight. Um, it's probably him or pass for me, but it's ultimately going to be a pass because Alessandro Costa, pretty dang good, man. He's only lost to Steve Urseg and Amir Albazi, both guys in like the top 10 of the division. And the guys that he's supposed to win, he's absolutely crushing. So, give me Alessandro Costa here, but it's a layoff for me because I think that there's some unknowns circling Korea that is enough for me to just see how he actually pans out at the UFC level.
I think it's just a bit too much too soon for Alden Correa here. Costa's one of these guys that trains with Diego Lopes and a lot of these guys in the Mexico scene. This card's built around him. I think this guy is a very legit fighter, a top 15 flyweight. Honestly, I just don't really know where Correa is better than Costa. I think Costa's proven he has good cardio on the feet. It's his fight all day. I think he can take this guy down and submit him pretty easily as well. So I feel pretty confidently Alessandro Costa should be 80 to 90% here. So I'm all right with the line. Happens to be leg one of a parlay. I'll talk about complete here in a minute. Moving on up here, Zach Reese taking on Cedriquez Dumas. I don't think too highly of Cedriquez Dumas, man, in the cage or out of the cage. A lot of stuff takes his attention off his MMA game, staying in trouble, things like that. And then in the cage, man, his kicks are pretty decent, but I don't really like his hands. I don't think he's a very physical grappler. He's got some decent submission ability, but not a very physical grappler, not a good wrestler by no means either, and really not that durable as well. I think guys can pressure him, and when they land big, put him away. And kind of think that's what Zach Reese is going to do. Zach Reese is a lot bigger, a lot more physical, a whole lot more dangerous than he is. The better boxer, the better wrestler, the better submission grappler. I'm totally okay with Zach Reese being minus 250 here, and I might look at some type of inside the distance or something when these lines start to come out because, I think Zach Reese runs through Cedriquez in round one or round two, man. Can't really add too much to it.
I've lost personally enough money on Zach Reese. I've tried betting him plenty of times, and even though he was able to get his last win against Dusko Todorovic, I thought he was somewhat of a finish or bust type of fighter. Jose Medina being kind of a one-off, just one of the tougher dudes in the division, but I still haven't figured him out. I just haven't figured out how to call his fight. I know that I had him getting beat by Bukayev, but I don't know, man. He's one of these fighters who is really great early on, and then he kind of fades, and he doesn't have a lot of skills to fall back on. Thankfully, he's fighting Cedriquez Dumas. I think Dumas having all of the court dates, $13 in his bank account, fighting, training videos with the ankle monitor on, like it's all red flags. So yeah, Zach Reese should win this. No, I'm not laying the juice, and I'm not going to get burnt on an inside the distance again. Sucks that I don't really have a lot of conviction in any of these four first fights, but Reese is the pick. I'm not looking to bet it though. Moving on to it's not the prelim main, is it? No, okay, not even close. Moving on, we go to the flyweight division. Jesus Aguilar taking on Luis Grurul. Grurul came out there and kind of dropped the ball as a pretty decent favorite over Ode Osborne. Ode, definitely an explosive fighter, especially early on, and he caught Luis. I think that you're getting not just a completely blown out of the water price tag on Luis because of that kind of flash accident with Ode Osborne, but he's a tough dude and pushes a really fast pace. But he is up against a Mexican fighter on a UFC Noche card, so that's a little cause for concern. And then on top of that, Aguilar only lost to solid fighters, Rafael Estevam and Tatsuro Taira. I was impressed with the way that he hung on to that guillotine over Stuart Nickel. I don't know. That was maybe the longest guillotine attempt I've ever seen, and he was able to find the finish. So he's not scared to completely sell out for a submission, which I kind of like, but it does kind of seem a little fluky.
Yeah.
I think that there's high potential that he gets outclassed here, which is what I'd be worried about betting the Aguilar side. Gruel should bounce back here and get a win, and I think you feel the same.
Yeah, Goulet is the leg number 2 to the parlay with Alessandro Costa for 2 units. I think you kind of said it perfectly, man. I think Goulet is just going to outclass him. The pace is going to be on another level. The offensive, the defensive wrestling, everything for Goulet better. The way better striker. I mean, Aguilar's really drawing dead to an overhand right and a guillotine in this situation, and I think Luis is smart enough to stay away from both of them. And yeah, I felt like you said it. If he had ran through O'Day Osborne, he'd be minus 400 here, and so I think that has a lot to play into it. And you're talking about a debut against O'Day, a guy with multiple UFC fights, wins over Charles Johnson, 50-50 fights with Steve Erceg, dropping Steve Erceg. I mean, O'Day's fast, O'Day's athletic, O'Day's huge for the weight class. So I don't know. I don't put a ton of stock into losing the debut in that fashion. So I think it's helped me get a much better line on Goulet, who should be a bigger favorite in the spot and should likely prove it with a pretty clean win in my eyes. Moving on up, surprise, this is kind of on the prelims. Tatiana Suarez taking on Amanda Lemo. She got a girl coming off a title fight loss versus another title challenger as well. Tatiana Suarez, it's tricky, man. Not only is it always tricky backing people coming off of a title loss, but also one that was just so long and drawn out like Tatiana Suarez. Like, we thought this was the best women's flyweight or women's strawweight fighter in like 2020, 2018, and it takes till 2024 to get her shot. And she just kind of looks past it, man. She looks like the injuries and the time off have caught up to her. She doesn't look as athletic and things. And that's something Amanda still has going for her, man. She's still athletic. She's still extremely strong, good counters, power to really hurt girls. She just can't stop a takedown to save her life. And I wish she could, because her price tag is super, super enticing. But to see her not ever be able to really defend a takedown, and to see Jessica Andrade just lock up a standing arm triangle and her not do anything to get out of it, I don't know, man. I kind of think she's lost if she's put on her back at times. And while that her last win was a good look with a lot of top time herself, I think we just got a different level grappler, a different level top time wrestler here in Tatiana Suarez. And I don't think she finds a finish. I don't think she gets her guillotine or anything, but I do think Tatiana Suarez by decision is how this one goes down.
Nah, so I actually think she does find the guillotine. I think she gets her to the mat at will. Obviously, coming off of kind of maybe a crappy performance in her title shot debut. It's not uncommon to not really bounce back the way you want to, especially at 34 years old. But if that fight never happened, I think that this is clearly a fight where she could absolutely dominate, get to the positions that she wants to, and just outclass her on the ground. You're getting plus 155, and I think maybe half the time you're right, it goes to decision, but the other half of the time it's she's subbing her relatively easy. So I like the plus 155 number. I think that there's still some meat on the bone there. And I think she absolutely outclasses her. So give me Tatiana Suarez here. Really the only way that you could play her at minus 500. Moving to the featherweight division, or the lightweight division. Claudio Puelles taking on Joaquim Silva. I got things from both fighters that I like. Joaquim Silva isn't consistent enough for me to want to bet him here, but he sure as hell throws extremely hard, and I love that. And then Claudio Puelles, willing to sync up a submission when possible, willing to throw with reckless abandon because he's not uncomfortable with being on the ground. Ultimately, I think that this fight finds a finish. We're getting even money, like minus 102 for a fight doesn't go the distance. And I think that that's what I'm looking at. Both these guys are subject to violence, and I think that one of them succeeds. Whether it's Puelles pulling a submission or Joaquin knocking his ass out. I could definitely see a finish happening in this fight.
Yeah, Joaquin's definitely got a ton of power on the feet, man. But as I dug into this fight a little bit more, I do like doesn't go the distance, but I think I'm pretty confident on the Puelas side, man. Especially at this stage in their career, both of them been off more than a year. Who's making the improvement, man? Is it the guy with the dodgy chin, dodgy durability, who's 38 years old? I just, or is it the guy who's in his prime at like 30 and kill Cliff? And Puelas for me was a guy who I always kind of when I thought back was knee bar bust, shitty cardio, and dude, the fight with Faraz Ziam was a different Claudio Puelas, definitely a step in the right direction. I think if that Claudio Puelas shows up, a pick'em price tag on him is going to look like a steal. Um, but I think he could get to positions that are very dangerous and very finish worthy, and with the power Silva has on the feet, I mean, he's always live to finish a fight. So I kind of think that you found the best play on the fight, doesn't go the distance. So rather than pick a side there, I kind of like that, man.
Yeah.
You might see that on my card as well. Shock, this is our prelim main event at a Noche. Neither one of these guys from Mexico, but we got Jose Medina taking on Disco Todorovic. Not really in the business of laying, what is it, minus 340, on Dusko. But I do think he's a better striker. I do think he's the far better grappler, and wrestling should come easy to him here. I think he should land a ton of takedowns. And he doesn't really strike me as a guy who's going to gas out going for a finish and let Medina come back on him, And so I don't know. Medina's a dog. He's somebody who will fight for your money, but as far as skill set wise, I don't think it's there for him, man. It's truly Dusko's fight to lose. It's set up for him to get back on track. So yeah, I probably won't play it, but I like Dusko. It's another one where I don't know if it's going to go inside the distance or decision. I think Dusko's going to land a lot of takedowns, and I think Medina's pretty durable. So despite being a huge favorite, yeah, I kind of think Dusko might win this by decision. Kind of
that would be his first time in the UFC. He's 3-6 in the UFC and never won a decision. I don't know, dude. I think that this is the first.
The only one I remember is Daquan Townsend, Jordan Wright, Maki Patola. I mean, that's as bad of wins as it gets, man.
Yeah, and all really, I honestly think that this is the most winnable fight for Jose Medina thus far.
That he's had for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and Dusko, I've seen him wear himself out chasing a finish, and I think Medina's going to be there, dude. I mean, we're going to be yelling at the screen because Medina doesn't throw with any power, and it's just like, even though he's still there, it's what are you seeing right there?
Round 2, 1,600. Round 3, 2,500. Not even picking the finish, just the round.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't think he subs him, but
right.
I think he could. I definitely think that he could still be there in the second and third, and those have better shots than trying to lay that type of price tag on Dusko. I don't know, dude. If it were me, I think Dana is looking to get a win for Jose Medina here. He's a crowd favorite. People are rooting for him because he is just a taxi driver. He's not the best, and Dusko's a gasser. So I like the Jose Medina side. I've bet him like twice out of his 3 times in the UFC. It hadn't worked out for me. I'm considering going back to the well. I want to be on his win because as a fan, I'd love to be a part of that. So, I'm looking at that round 2, round 3, because it sure as hell ain't happening in the first round. He's getting his ass whooped.
Right.
Jose Medina round 2, round 3 is probably how I'm looking at it. Maybe even just him straight up, not get greedy. I'm okay with plus 300, man.
Yeah.
Jose Medina is the side for me. Just basing it off toughness, man. Pretty low level though, like you mentioned, for the prelim headliner, little odd. I will agree with that. Moving on to Santiago Luna taking on Kwang Lee. I don't know, dude. Luna looks decent, but he's been finishing somewhat cans. I'm not sure. I didn't do much tape on this one. I'm not even going to try and lie like I did. Kwang Lee, he's looked good in his fight against Gaston Bolaños, but it looks like he can kind of be you know, I don't know. It looks like he still has holes too. Neither one of these guys great. Surprised that this one's on the main card, honestly.
And if it would be on the main card, probably to set up this Santiago Luna guy, who's the 21-year-old prospect, probably the one clearly improving here. I cashed on Kwang Lee as a dog last time out against Bolaños. I thought there was a clear grappling edge there, unlike he showed. And I think that's where Kwang Lee does his best work. I just think Santiago Luna is a better grappler than he is, man, and kind of takes away his best strength. And I don't think Kwang Lee is nothing to really ride home about on the feet. Feel like it's pretty even there. I kind of feel like there's not a lot of value at all left on this line at all. I would put Santiago Luna about a -125 favorite. I make him a slight favorite as the younger hometown fighter, probably a bit more gas in the tank and a bit better grappler. So I don't feel crazy confident about either side, but I do think the right side's favored. Alexander Hernandez taking on Diego Ferreira, man. Alexander Hernandez cashed a big bet for you. Another one that I pushed out on last time. Round one knockout over Chase Hooper. Tricky to say how that fight was going to go if we get into round 2 or 3, because that's where things always start to get hairy for Alexander Hernandez, is in the cardio late. But it's another case of early on, dude, he's going to have a ton of power advantage, a ton of speed advantage. I think he goes out here and lights CDF up early, man. It's just, I don't know, man. He can be taken down and he can be broken. And I know CDF is 38, but he still kind of has a little bit of dog in him. And he's a fantastic grappler. Tricky fight for me. Real tricky fight for me. It's hard for me to not see the speed, the youth, and everything that Alexander Hernandez has. And I think he could jump on CDF early. So I'm going to go Alexander Hernandez, but I'm not confident. I think this is truly one of the harder fights on the card to call.
I mean, this is CDF for me all day. I was on him whenever they had the him versus Mateusz Rebecki. Yeah, I was on him, and that dog proved to me he still has it. Grant Dawson's going to be a tough competitor, but he's still at the top of his game. I think that this is wild of Alexander Hernandez to go out there and get a good win against Chase Hooper and then feel like he can immediately go back, cut weight, and he's ready to fight somebody in CDF who offers a lot of different aspects to his game than Chase Hooper does. Of course, you're going to have a striking advantage against Chase Hooper, but he's going to be in for a dogfight with Diego Ferreira here. And I think if this does go into second, third round, this is all CDF. I'm not going to bank on Alexander Hernandez to have another first-round finish, and I think he's biting off a little bit more than he can chew here. So give me CDF, just the more proven fighter, and we've seen Alexander Hernandez get ahead of himself multiple times in his career. I think we're seeing it again here. So pretty decent price tag on CDF too,
Yeah.
-113 and so yeah, -113 is the best line I'm seeing on our books. Yeah, that's a pretty easy play for me. You'll probably find me on CDF here. Moving on to Kelvin Gastelum taking on Dustin Stoltzfus. Tried to bet Stoltzfus against Ruzaboyev here.
Thought we had it.
I thought we had it too, dude. That was rough. Shoot, man. Yeah, it just it turned me off of betting him at all, to be honest with you. Kelvin Gastelum, I don't know which dude's showing up, man. He's, it's like he's gotten submitted a couple times now in the UFC. I'm not sure that Stoltzfus is going to be that guy. And Gastelum still has the chin against Joe Pyfer. So,
yeah.
I think I'm on the Kelvin Gastelum side, but it feels like Brad Tavares from last year or from last week. Does that make sense? Like we're having to lay a premium on him at -230, and I think that there's opportunity for him to lose this fight just off of sheer age, honestly, just wear and tear. So it's a layoff spot for me. I will give the edge to Gastelum, regrettably,
Yeah. Ultra durable, man. Durable as they come. And it is Joe Pyfer. I do want to make note of that. But Kelvin, for the first time in a while, clearly hurt, in a fight in round 1 against Pyfer. Not something you really see Kelvin on skates a lot of times. But again, I don't think Dustin really hits like that. But it is something to note. A guy as durable as Kelvin always was could be something we see going down the drain here in the future. Really good boxer, man. Really fast hands. I was kind of looking at this fight, some type of over or goes a distance, but the kind of bookies they're out on that. Kelvin Gastelum hasn't had a finish at middleweight since Michael Bisping when he got knocked out like twice in the same month. 2017, 2018, something like that. So it's been a while. Kevin's not the most dangerous middleweight in the world, and he's been ultra durable. He's just not a middleweight, man, at the end of the day. And he's, for the first time in a while, he's fighting a guy who I think wants to use that size and really wants to take him down, doesn't want to sit there and strike with him. And yeah, I 100% agree with you, man, that there are ways that I see Dustin Stoltzfus winning this fight. But he's a guy that you really can't trust the striking defense. You really can't trust the cardio either. And so not just eager to go trust him. So I'm going to side with Kelvin Gastelum to do enough on the feet, land the damaging strikes. I don't think he gets it done. I think this one's going to the scorecards where we see Kelvin get his hand raised. Moving on up, man, Jared Gordon versus Rafa Garcia. Jared Gordon's just not really a guy I like to lay chalk on. The chin issues that plagued him years ago are always primed to kind of come up again. You're fading Rafa Garcia, the Mexican hometown fighter, in the featured bout. But I think Jared Gordon has the superior cardio. I think Jared Gordon's superior wrestler, superior jiu-jitsu player, the superior boxer. Rafa just is a durable guy who typically makes fights close, will get in your face. And again, it's just, Jared, I know he's found 2 finishes, but I kind of think we're due for some regression there. I don't think he's going to go out here and finish Rafa Garcia. And so I don't think he's going to finish. We're in Mexico. You've got dodgy chins in the past. I think he's the way better fighter in every aspect. I just think where the line sits at minus 250 makes it very, very tricky to play Jared Gordon here. A guy who's typically an underdog in a lot of his fights as well. Now sitting at minus 250. He's my pick. I think it could be a little bit hairier if it goes to the scorecard. So
this is Rafa Garcia for me, man. We're not in Mexico. We're in San Antonio. If this
sure.
were in Mexico City, I would be worried. I probably wouldn't be picking Rafa Garcia because you're right. He's definitely liable to slow down. But Jared Gordon, kind of outside of this like flash KO he gets in his last fight, not a lot of activity, always makes the fight close. And you talked about the pace that Rafa Garcia attempts to push. I think that this is a pretty coin flip fight, and we're getting plus 200 on one side. So it's not that I'm going to be able to make a super convincing argument for Rafa Garcia here. I just think that he's going to make the fight close. Maybe a Rafa Garcia by decision.
Plus 400 on DraftKings.
So Rafa Garcia by decision, but I can still get plus 200, plus 205 on DraftKings, and that's good enough for me, dude, because I don't know how it's going to happen. Like you said, there is a good chance that Jared Gordon shows some signs of regression. I think he's being overvalued here after getting a flash KO in his last fight, and notoriously the guy that is usually the plus 200 underdog. He gets just a knockout, and now he's apparently a minus 250 against a decent opponent.
Gordon decisions minus 150. It's like the fight's minus 220 to go over.
Maybe we look. I mean, it's going to be minus 160 or something for Rafa Garcia plus 3.5.
What can I interest you with only minus 140?
Not really, dude. I just take the plus 200 and hold my breath when the decision's coming out.
Yeah, I feel you. I like the decision at plus 400. I think there's a ton of value.
Like that too.
I think when it goes there, it's probably a pretty close split decision.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But so if we want to get greedy, I do like the decision, the Rafa Garcia decision. That's how he's going to win. But if you don't want to get greedy, just take the 2-1. Rafa Garcia is the side here in this coin flip fight. I don't think we have to overthink it. Moving on to the co-main event, we have Rob Font versus David Martinez. Rob Font, 38 years old, man. He's really getting up there in age, and I got to imagine that This fight is kind of set up to showcase the talents of David Martinez here. Font gets the split decision over Jean Matsumoto in his last fight, beats Kyler Phillips in the time before that. But I think that this is kind of a tough fight for him to showcase his boxing range with. I think that David Martinez really, really good at managing distance and attacking when he wants to. And I think that there's going to be opportunity for him to land the bigger shots. We've seen Rob Font, wear damage a little worse than usual lately. And I think that David Martinez will be able to capitalize on that, whether it's winning big moments in the round or actually finding a finish.
Yeah.
I like David Martinez here. Looks like we're getting like plus 110, and it sucks that we've missed that opening line of like plus 170 or something like that. But I understand why the money's coming in on him here. David Martinez is the side for me. If Font gets to plus money, which I don't think I see happening, I'd probably be on his side. But as long as the plus money is on David Martinez here, I like him betting-wise.
So who beats Rob Font, man? Aldo, Figueiredo, Chito Vera, title holders, title challengers. Who's Rob Font beaten? Adrian Yanez, Kyler Phillips, John Matsumoto, the up-and-coming prospects, man. Which bucket does David Martinez fit in here?
Absolutely.
No, I think David Martinez is going to beat Rob Font on Saturday as well, man.
All right.
I think Rob Font is, like you said, on the tail end of the career and can be up in volume and then takes one clean punch and is doing the stanky leg all over the octagon, man. And I really like what I see from David Martinez in terms of, I don't want to say patience is just the right word, but like he knows when he has his openings. You can tell he's a very intelligent striker and he's very accurate with the shots. He knows he doesn't necessarily have to set down on things because he's just so accurate and very precise. And I think the jab is going to catch Rob Font all night long. I think Rob's going to commit to something and walk right into the jab, start doing the stanky leg. I'm not counting the finish out as well. Rob Font is as absolutely as tough as they come. I've seen the dude eat front kicks and survive them. So it's hard to say David Martinez is going to finish him, but Rob Font was matched up against Raul Rosas Jr. They pulled David Martinez from the Quang Lee, give Rob Font to another Mexican on Noche. It's clear as day what they're trying to do, feed him to one of these prospects in Mexico that they really like. He went from a guy who was having to completely train grappling, defensive grappling, to now a guy who's going to be touching him up on the feet, not in his favor here as well. So, yeah, I hate that we missed that line as well, but plus money on David Martinez has kind of been calling my name all week. So, was really happy to get on here and hear you on the same side. Main event, Diego Lopes taking on John Silva. Am I about to be 0-5 fading John Silva, man? I have bet against this guy 4 times. He's got a lot going for him now. I know the camp lost twice last week, but Fighting Nerds, one of the hottest camps in the game right now. This guy's got big power. He's so explosive. He looks extremely hard to take down. And then just the confidence and the mindset that this guy has, that's another thing that you got to get past before you even fight John Silva. And on the other side, you got a guy, coming off the title fight loss and things making it a bit tricky. You already got a couple guys and Lerone Murphy and Mavzar, like they're waiting for the belt. So even a win here, you're still another 2 or 3 away. It's just a tricky spot to be in. But when you get a line like this, and I get a guy who just went 5 rounds with Volkanovski, and where I was kind of concerned about the cardio in the championship rounds, it still looked really good, man. Like much better than I thought it was going to look. That's something we haven't seen from John Silva is championship rounds. And I think if we've seen the championship rounds, I think Diego Lopes has taken him down a few times and made him work and tested the gas tank a little bit. And then you just throw in the fact that Diego Lopes has the power in the hands and the submission ability to just finish a fight at any time. Man, it's hard for me to stay off Diego Lopes. I'm gonna for the first time say John Silva wins the fight. I've been against this guy his whole time, but I think he's shown me enough that I think he's a legit competitor. I think he's got the power to really hurt Diego Lopes on the feet, and he's just got a lot better process to him than Diego Lopes does. So I'm on the John Silva side. I see it now, man. The time I don't fade him is the time that he goes out here and lays an egg. But I just can't do it, man. I think he's proven me wrong enough times that I'm willing to say I think he's hit his stride right now, and it's John Silva's time. So he's the pick ever so slightly. What's your thoughts here, man?
Yeah, so he's whatever 5-0 in the UFC so far, but truthfully, I think the most telling fight of his was his Contender Series fight against Kevin Vallejos. I'm a big Vallejos fan, man. I
Yeah.
think he is a solid prospect, and the way that he pushes a pace, I think it's maybe not the same, but at least closest, in my opinion, to Diego Lopes than Dober or Jourdain or Bagdasarian. And all those guys are strikers, but they don't have that dog in them like Lopes and like Kevin Vallejos does. And just watching Gene Silva take the punches from Vallejos, he rolls with punches really well. He keeps a really calm demeanor, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried at how emotional he is for this matchup. This is new territory for him, headlining 5 rounds, and Diego Lopes coming off of that title loss. He's been there, he's done this already.
Right.
So I imagine he's coming in here with a mindset that he's seen the top and he knows what it takes to get there, and that, I guess, mentality is my biggest concern for Jean Silva coming into this one. But I think he has all the tools to keep this fight standing and land the bigger shots, avoid the damage of Lopes, and I guess same dude. I'm on the Silva side, but if I were gun to head betting on this fight, I think that you're going to come out more profitable betting Diego Lopes long term than John Silva here. So in this scenario, I'm going to bet I'm going to say John Silva wins, but gun to head, I think that it's Diego Lopes or pass.
Yeah, and I feel the same way, man. Feel the same way. Another huge 14 fight card. Be sick if those all stayed together. Going down San Antonio, UFC Noche. We're off next week, man. So no fights next weekend. But after that, we are back in Perth, Australia for another fight card. So if you're with us this long, make sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate it. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.